You were standing in the wreckage of a plan that should have made you a millionaire. You were looking at the remnants of a business, or a trade, or a bold career move that was perfect on paper. It was airtight. The logic was flawless. The opportunity was right there in your hand. You could feel the weight of the gold before you even mined it. And now, it's gone. It evaporated. And you are standing there blaming bad luck. You are blaming the market. You are blaming the timing. Stop lying to yourself. It wasn't the market. It wasn't the timing. It was your mouth. Rewind the tape. Go back to the exact moment the idea became real for you. You felt that rush, didn't you? That surge of dopamine that hits the brain like a chemical tidal wave. You saw the future. And because that feeling was so intense, so overwhelming, you made the fatal mistake. The mistake that keeps the poor poor. You shared it. You picked up the phone. You called your friend. You sat down at dinner with your family. You leaned in across the table, eyes wide, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, and you laid it all out. You showed them the blueprint. You told them the strategy. You explained exactly how you were going to get yourself rich. You were looking for validation. You were looking for a pat on the back. You wanted them to see the vision before you built it. And what happened? Look at their faces in your memory. Did they applaud? Did they jump out of their chairs? No. There was a pause. A silence that lasted half a second too long. Then came the questions. Not the helpful questions. The other kind. Are you sure that's safe? Doesn't that seem a bit risky? I heard about a guy who tried that and lost everything. Maybe you should just focus on your job for now. They didn't pull out a gun and shoot your dream. They did something much more effective. They planted a seed of rot. They introduced a frequency of doubt that wasn't there before. And you, in your naivety, you thought they were looking out for you. You thought they were being realistic. Wrong. You just triggered the most dangerous mechanism in human psychology. You triggered the envy reflex. By announcing your rise, you inadvertently highlighted their stagnation. And because you haven't actually built the thing yet, because you are still vulnerable, you gave them the power to dismantle it. And it worked. Think about the days that followed that conversation. The energy changed, didn't it? That burning fire you felt in your chest, the fire that was going to fuel the late nights and the early mornings, it started to flicker. You started second-guessing the numbers. You started rereading the risks. The voice of your doubt started sounding exactly like the voice of that friend at the dinner table. 2 weeks later, the project is dead. You never launched. You never bought the asset. You never made the move. You told yourself you were just being cautious. But the truth is, you leaked your power. You gave it away in a conversation that never should have happened. This is the graveyard of open mouths. If you walk through any city, you are surrounded by people who talk about what they are going to do. They bark. They are loud. They broadcast their intentions to the world, begging for attention, begging for someone to witness their potential. They treat their plans like a performance art, and they stay exactly where they are. Year after year, the same stories, the same excuses, the same poverty. And then there are the others, the ones you don't see coming, the ones who get themselves rich in total silence. They understand a rule of physics that you have ignored. Sound is energy escaping. Every time you speak about a goal, you dissipate the energy required to achieve it. You trick your brain into feeling the satisfaction of the achievement without doing the work. The silent rich know this. They move like ghosts. They build in the dark. You don't know they are working on a deal until the contract is signed. You don't know they are buying a building until they hand you the key. You don't know they are leaving until they are already gone. They don't bark. They bite. You have been conditioned to believe that communication is a virtue. Society tells you to share your dreams, to speak your truth, to network. Society is training you to be an employee. Society is training you to be manageable. If you tell everyone what you are doing, you are predictable. You are easy to stop. You are easy to sabotage. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. The prince does not announce his conquest. He simply conquers. The strategies of wealth are not public debates. They are covert operations. But you? You treat your life like a reality TV show. You update your status. You tell your coworkers your side hustle ideas. You tell your family your investment thesis. You are handing out ammunition to people who have a vested interest in keeping you the same. And this is why you fail. Not because you lack talent. Not because you lack drive. But because you cannot keep your mouth shut long enough to build the leverage you need. You are addicted to the cheap high of telling instead of the deep satisfaction of having. This stops today. We are going to dismantle the programming that forces you to seek approval. We are going to explore the Machiavellian wealth rules that are hidden from the public, the specific, ruthless strategies of silence that separate the empire builders from the noisy dreamers. You are going to learn how to disappear. You are going to learn how to wear the mask of mediocrity while you build a kingdom underneath it. You are going to learn that silence isn't just empty space. It is a weapon. It is a shield. And it is the only way to protect the wealth you haven't made yet. The barking stops. The work begins. But first, you have to look at the damage you've already done. You have to look at the things you killed because you couldn't handle the quiet. You ask yourself why. You do it. Why? After promising yourself you'd keep this one quiet, did you spill your guts within 48 hours? You think it's because you're an extrovert. You think it's because you're passionate. You think it's because you need accountability partners. Wrong. You do it because you are a drug addict. And your drug of choice is cheap, unearned validation. Here is the biological glitch that is keeping you broke. Your brain is terrible at distinguishing between doing a thing and telling people you are doing a thing. When you walk into a room and say, "I'm going to start a drop-shipping empire," or "I'm investing in real estate," your brain lights up. The reward centers fire. You get a hit of dopamine, that warm, fuzzy chemical of satisfaction. In that moment, your brain constructs an identity. I am a business owner. I am an investor. You feel the pride of the accomplishment before you have done a single minute of the suffering required to earn it. This is what psychologists call symbolic self-completion. But let's call it what it really is: premature satisfaction. You are eating the dessert before you hunt the animal. Think about the last time you told everyone you were going to get in shape. You bought the shoes. You posted the day one photo on Instagram. You told your partner, "No more sugar." You felt amazing, didn't you? You felt disciplined. You felt strong. And because you felt that satisfaction, the urgency died. The tension that was supposed to drive you to the gym at 5 a.m. evaporated. Why? Because you already got the reward. The social validation was the treat. Why go through the pain of lifting heavy iron when you already got the applause just for buying the membership? Now apply this to wealth. You have a killer idea. It requires 6 months of grinding in the dark. It requires cold calls. It requires coding until your eyes bleed. It requires saving money while your friends are out drinking. It requires pain. But you can't handle the pain of silence. You can't handle the gap between who you are, broke, and who you want to be, rich. So you bridge the gap with words. You go out for drinks. You tell your friends about the project. You use big words. You talk about scalability and market cap. They nod. They say, "Wow, that sounds huge." You feel important. You feel like the CEO. You go home buzzing. And the next morning, You wake up. The laptop is closed. The work is staring at you. But that hunger, that gnawing, desperate hunger that forces a man to build an empire, it's gone. You fed it last night with cheap talk. You gave away your steam. This is the dopamine trap. The world is full of entrepreneurs who are high on their own supply of words. They are addicted to the identity of being someone who is going to make it, rather than the reality of the work itself. They attend the conferences. They post the quotes. They talk the talk. But their bank accounts are stagnant. The silent rich understand a fundamental law of thermodynamics. Pressure creates diamonds. If you have a pipe full of steam and you poke a hole in it, the pressure drops. The engine stops turning. Your mouth is that hole. Every time you speak about your wealth goals, you are leaking the pressure you need to blast through the obstacles. You need that pressure. You need to feel the uncomfortable weight of your own potential. You need to feel like a fraud. You need to feel like a nobody. Why? Because that feeling is fuel. That feeling of, I haven't done anything yet, is the only thing that will get you out of bed when it's cold and you're tired. When you shut your mouth, you trap the energy. You build a container of pressure. You walk around with a secret. You know something they don't. You are working on something they can't see. This creates a different kind of psychological state. It's not the warm, fuzzy dopamine of validation. It's a cold, hard drive. It's the feeling of a predator waiting in the tall grass. You stop looking for pats on the back. You start looking for kills. You have to starve your ego to feed your wallet. This is the trade. You can either look like you're doing big things, or you can actually do big things. You rarely get to do both at the same time. The dopamine hit of the announcement is the enemy of the dopamine hit of the deposit. So, look at your life right now. Look at the projects that stalled. Look at the goals you abandoned. Did you talk them to death? Did you get your fix from the announcement? If you want to get rich, you have to go through withdrawal. You have to cut off the supply of easy validation. You have to learn to sit in a room, alone, with your work and get zero applause for it. You have to build in a vacuum. It will feel lonely. It will feel like nobody cares. Good. Because nobody does care. Not yet. They will care when the check clears. They will care when the result is undeniable. Until then, your silence is the only thing protecting your drive. Sip it. Here is the hardest pill you will ever have to swallow. It tastes like betrayal. It tastes like cynicism. But you need to digest it if you want to survive the climb. Your friends, your family, your peers, they do not want you to get rich. Wait, let me correct that. They don't want you to starve. They want you to be okay. They want you to be safe. They want you to pay your bills. But they absolutely, categorically do not want you to ascend beyond them. This isn't because they are bad people. It is because they are human, and human beings run on a relative status operating system. When you are all broke together, there is a comfortable equilibrium. You can complain about the economy together. You can bond over how unfair the system is. You are comrades in the struggle. This shared suffering creates a tribe. But the moment you start to rise, the moment you actually start executing on those wealth rules, you break the contract. You are no longer a mirror reflecting their struggle. You become a mirror reflecting their inadequacy. Every dollar you make that they didn't make is an unspoken accusation. It says, the system isn't broken. The economy isn't impossible. I am doing it. Which means you could be doing it too, but you aren't. You don't say that. You don't have to. Your success screams it. So, what happens when you tell them your plans? What happens when you share your wins? You trigger the envy radar. You've seen it happen. You just chose to ignore it. You tell your best friend about a huge investment win. Watch their face. Watch the micro expressions. For a split second, before the social mask slides into place, you see it. A flicker of pain, a tightening of the jaw. The eyes go dead for a fraction of a second. Then comes the fake smile. Wow, that's great, man. But then, the follow-up. The subtle sabotage. Just make sure you pay your taxes. Well, money isn't everything. Don't forget the little people. You've changed. You've changed. That is the weaponized phrase of the mediocre. It is designed to shame you back into the box. It is designed to make you feel guilty for outgrowing the container they are still rotting in. This is the psychological reality of the evil eye. Ancient cultures were terrified of the evil eye, the idea that an envious look could curse your fortune. We laugh at that now. We call it superstition. It is not superstition. It is a metaphor for a very real psychological mechanism. When people envy you, they subconsciously work to undermine you. They give you bad advice. They waste your time. They introduce drama into your life exactly when you need focus. They try to humble you. And you let them do it. You hand them the coordinates. You walk into the room and turn on your beacon. Look at me. Look what I'm doing. You light yourself up on their radar. You make yourself a target. You are begging for the arrows to be fired. When you work in silence, you fly under the radar. You are invisible to their envy because you are invisible to their judgment. If they think you are just getting by, they feel safe. They don't feel the need to attack you. They don't feel the need to bring you down a peg because you haven't climbed up a peg in their eyes. This is the ultimate camouflage. Machiavelli would tell you to appear less ambitious than you are, to appear less clever than you are. Let them think you are struggling. Let them think you are just like them. Let them lecture you on how the world works. Nod. Agree. Play the role of the fool. While they are lecturing you, you are buying the building they live in. There is a profound power in being underestimated. When people think you are broke or average or struggling, they let their guard down. They don't see you as a threat. They don't try to block you. They ignore you. And being ignored is the greatest gift a builder can receive. You need to stop trying to prove your worth to people who only value your stagnation. You need to stop looking for support from people who are threatened by your strength. You want to get rich? Do it in the dark. Let them assume what they want. Let them think you're lazy. Let them think you're lost. Let them be wrong. The only time they should realize you are rich is when it is too late for them to do anything about it. When the gap is so wide that their envy can't reach you anymore. Until then, you are a ghost. You are static on the line. You are nothing. There is a reason the name Niccolo Machiavelli still sends a shiver down the spine of the moral high ground. He didn't write about how the world should be. He wrote about how the world is. And the world is a place where honesty is often a suicide note. If you are trying to get rich, you are entering a battlefield. The market is not a charity. It is a zero-sum game of dominance. And in war, the first rule of survival is simple: never let them see you coming. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived." This isn't about lying. It's about strategic concealment. It is about the law of the shadow. Consider the modern workplace, the training ground for your capital. You are sitting there right now, plotting your exit. You are building a side business. You are investing in assets. You are planning to leave the rat race. And what do? You walk into your manager's office. You think you have a good relationship. You think he mentors you. So you tell him, "Yeah, I'm working on this e-commerce brand on the weekends, hoping to take it full-time in a year." You think you are signaling ambition. You think you are showing drive. You are an idiot. In that split second, you went from being an asset to being a threat. You just told the person who controls your paycheck that you are a flight risk. You just told him that your focus is divided. You just told him that investing in you is a bad long-term bet. Watch what happens next. The promotions stop. The good leads go to someone else. You get micromanaged. You are slowly squeezed out. Why? Because you violated the cardinal rule. Never outshine the master and never reveal your hand until the pot is yours. The silent rich operate differently. They are the employees who smile and nod. They do the work. They are pleasant. They seem content. They don't talk about their empire. They don't talk about their crypto portfolio. They don't talk about the rental property they just closed on. To the boss, they are safe. To the company, they are reliable fixtures. But underneath the surface, they are siphoning resources. They are using the salary to fund the escape. They are using the company time to learn the skills. They are using the network to build their own Rolodex. They are like a parasite that eventually eats the host, but the host never feels the bite until it's too late. This applies to competitors too. Look at the startup world. The loud founders get the TechCrunch articles. They post the revenue, screenshots. They talk about their moat. And what happens? A giant like Amazon or Facebook looks at them, sees the roadmap, and clones the feature in a weekend. The loud startup gets crushed. The silent rich build in the stealth mode. They don't release the press release. They don't do the podcast circuit. They acquire the customers quietly. They secure the supply chain quietly. They lock in the patents quietly. By the time the competition realizes they are a threat, they already own the market. This is the Machiavellian way. You must learn to wear a mask. The mask of the average person. You have to be comfortable being underestimated. You have to be comfortable with people thinking you are less intelligent than you are. Machiavelli taught that it is better to be feared than loved, but it is best of all to be unknown. If you are unknown, you cannot be targeted. If you are unknown, you have the element of surprise. Think of a root system. The biggest trees have roots that go miles deep and miles wide. You never see the roots. You only see the tree when it breaks the surface. But the strength, the actual wealth, is in the dark. If you expose the roots to the sunlight, the tree dies. Your plans are the roots. The sunlight is public attention. Every time you expose your plans to the light of scrutiny before they are ready, you kill them. You need to become a black box. Information goes in. Nothing comes out. People should look at you and see nothing remarkable. Just a regular guy. Just a regular girl. Inside you are a shark. Inside you are running the numbers. Inside you are executing a takeover. But on the outside, total silence. Walk into a high-end nightclub. Look at the VIP table. Look at the guy standing on the sofa. He's holding a sparkler. He's wearing a shirt covered in brand logos that scream the designer's name. He's filming himself on his phone. He is making sure every single person in that room knows he spent $5,000 tonight. You look at him and you think, that guy is rich. Wrong. That guy is the cash flow poor. That guy is drowning in debt. That guy is an employee with a credit card limit he's about to hit. He is screaming for attention because his actual net worth is a hollow shell. He is signaling. Now look past him. Look at the guy sitting at the bar in the dark corner. He's wearing a plain black t-shirt. No logos. No watch that costs more than your car. He isn't filming. He's sipping a water. He's watching the room. That guy owns the building. That guy owns the club. That guy could buy the loud man's life 10 times over without checking his bank balance. And he doesn't say a word. This is the poverty of signaling. And it is the trap that catches almost everyone trying to climb out of the middle class. You have been brainwashed to believe that rich looks like noise. You think rich looks like flashing lights and loud exhausts. So, when you get a little bit of money, what do? You start to bark. You upgrade the car to the one you can barely afford. You buy the watch that signals, "I made it." You start posting photos of your steering wheel on Instagram. You start talking about hustle culture. You are acting out a caricature of wealth because you don't have the real thing. Real power doesn't need to announce itself. The sun doesn't need to tell you it's hot. Gravity doesn't need to tell you it's heavy. They just are. When you are truly wealthy, you stop caring if people think you are wealthy. In fact, you prefer they don't know. Why? Because when people know you have money, you become a resource to be exploited. You become a target for lawsuits. You become a target for investment opportunities from long-lost cousins. The silent rich view status symbols as a liability. They view loud mouths as a liability. But you are still operating on the playground logic. You think if you talk the loudest, you are the leader. There is a direct correlation. The louder someone talks about their money, the less of it they actually keep. Think about the energy it takes to maintain a facade. You have to constantly curate your image. You have to make sure you're seen at the right places. You have to make sure your stories align. You have to make sure people are looking at you. That is energy you are not spending on compounding your capital. While the flexor is spending 3 hours editing a video to look like he's working, the silent operator has actually closed 3 deals. While the loudmouth is debating crypto strategy at a dinner party to sound smart, the silent operator has quietly executed the trade and gone to sleep. You are leaking your potential through your ego. You need to ask yourself a brutal question. Do you want to look rich or do you want to be rich? Because you often have to choose. If you choose to look rich, you will spend your life barking. You will spend your life trying to convince strangers that you matter. You will be the dog that makes a lot of noise but has no teeth. If you choose to be rich, you must embrace the silence. You must be willing to look average. You must be willing to drive a car that doesn't turn heads. You must be willing to wear clothes that don't have names on them. You must be willing to let people think you are boring. Let them think you are boring. Let them think you are broke. Because while they are busy judging your lack of flash, you are busy buying their debt. You are busy acquiring the assets they are renting. The loud ones are the prey. The quiet ones are the hunters. Stop signaling. Stop barking. Stop trying to prove you are a lion. A lion doesn't have to roar to be dangerous. A lion is most dangerous when it is completely silent, low to the ground, and you don't even know it's there until it's too late. Be the lion. Kill the clown. Now we move from defense to offense. Silence is not just about keeping your mouth shut. That is passive. We are talking about active camouflage. We are talking about rule number 1 of the Ghost Protocol, the fog of war. Sun Tzu wrote, "All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must seem inactive." Translation: you need to learn how to look like a loser while you are winning. Here is your problem. You have an ego that screams to be recognized. When you walk into a negotiation, a job interview, or a business deal, what do? You try to look sharp. You wear the best suit. You use the biggest words. You try to dominate the room with your intellect. You want them to know you are a player. You are digging your own grave. When you project strength, you invite resistance. When you act like a shark, the other sharks start circling. They put their guard up. They double-check the contracts. They hide their best assets. They treat you like a threat that needs to be neutralized. You need to flip the script. You need to master the art of strategic incompetence. Imagine you are negotiating to buy a business. If you walk in with your MBA slang, talking about EBITDA multiples and synergies, The seller tightens up. He thinks, this guy is a pro. He's trying to screw me. I need to raise the price. Now imagine the silent operator. He walks in. He looks a little disheveled. Maybe he fumbles with his pen. He asks basic, almost stupid questions. So, how does this shipping thing work again? I'm not really good with these spreadsheet things. Can you explain this row? Watch what happens to the seller. His shoulders drop. He relaxes. His ego swells. He thinks, this guy is an idiot. I can run circles around him. I can unload this thing easily. The seller stops hiding the flaws because he doesn't think you're smart enough to find them. He starts over-talking. He starts revealing information he shouldn't. He gets arrogant. And arrogance is a blinder. While he is busy feeling superior, you are quietly gathering the data. You are finding the leverage points he dropped because he was too busy patting himself on the back. You let him think he is winning. You let him think he is the alpha. Then, you strike. You make the offer. It's lower than he wanted, but because he thinks you're not sophisticated, he accepts it, thinking he's getting away with something. You sign the paper. You walk out. Only then does he realize you just bought his gold mine for the price of a copper pit. This is the fog of war. You create a cloud of mediocrity around you that hides your true capability. You see this in the workplace every day. There is always that one employee who seems a bit slow. They never volunteer for the extra projects. They ask for help often. They fly under the radar. You think they are useless, but look closer. They are never stressed. They are never the target of the manager's wrath because they're trying their best. They go home at 5 p.m. sharp to work on their side business, while the high performers are stuck in the office until 9 p.m. trying to prove how smart they are. The smart ones are slaves to their own reputation. The incompetent one is free. You must learn to suppress the urge to correct people. When someone explains something you already know, don't interrupt with "I know." Shut up. Let them explain. Let them feel smart. When someone underestimates you, don't correct them. Don't pull out your resume. Let them think you are small. Information is the currency of wealth. When you are silent and when you appear harmless, people give you information for free. They gossip in front of you. They reveal secrets in front of you. They don't encrypt their communications because they don't think you can crack the code. Be the gray rock. Be the background character. Be the person nobody remembers being at the meeting. The most dangerous man in the room is not the one shouting orders. It is the one sitting in the back, taking notes, looking confused, and planning the coup. Stop trying to look smart. Start trying to get rich. The two are often mutually exclusive. You know the feeling. You just spent 45 minutes explaining your new path to your skeptical brother-in-law at a family barbecue. You showed him the logic. You countered his objections about the economy. You defended your timeline. You proved him wrong. Intellectually, you won the debate. But you walk away feeling heavy. You feel drained. You feel a strange physical hollowness in your chest. You sit down later that night to actually do the work, to write the copy, to analyze the deal, and you can't. The fire is gone. You are exhausted. Why? Because you just suffered a massive energy leak. This is rule number 2. Silence conserves power. Physics teaches us about the conservation of energy. You have a finite amount of mental and emotional bandwidth in a single day. Let's call it 100 units. It takes 80 units of intense focus to build something from nothing. It takes nearly everything you have to break orbit and escape the gravity of poverty. But you spent 40 units trying to convince a man who has worked the same dead-end job for 20 years that your vision is valid. You are bankrupting your own battery to pay for someone else's understanding. Stop and think about the acronym JAD. justify, argue, defend, explain. Every time you do one of these four things, you are leaking wealth. You are taking the raw, nuclear energy that should be fueling your empire, and you are venting it into the atmosphere as hot air. You are trying to get permission. That's the ugly truth you don't want to look at. Why do you explain yourself to people who don't matter? Why do you feel the need to justify your investment to your parents? Why do you defend your side hustle to your coworkers? Because deep down, you aren't sure yet. You are using the argument to convince yourself. You are hoping that if you can get them to nod, then maybe, just maybe, you aren't crazy. But here is the catch. They will never nod. They are committed to their worldview. And by fighting them, you are validating their frame. You are stepping into their courtroom and agreeing to be put on trial. The silent rich never step into the courtroom. Imagine you ask a billionaire, "Why did you buy that company?" He doesn't give you a 40-slide presentation. He doesn't try to convince you it was a good idea. He looks at you, shrugs, and says, "Because I wanted to." Then he walks away. He has zero leakage. He keeps 100% of his energy for execution. You need to become miserly with your words. You need to treat your explanations like gold coins. Do not throw them at people who cannot appreciate their value. Next time someone asks you a trap question, "So, how's that little business going? You making any money yet?" Do not engage. Do not open the books. Do not justify your existence. You smile. You say, "It's going." And you change the subject. "It's good. How's the football team doing?" Feel the power in that pivot. You just refuse to leak. You just capped the pipe. You kept your pressure high. They will be confused. They will push. No. But really, are you worried about the risk? Not really. Pass the salt. You are denying them the vampire bite. They want to feed on your uncertainty. They want to feed on your defense. When you give them nothing but polite silence, they starve. And more importantly, you stay full. You keep the anger. You keep the drive. You keep that raw, aggressive energy that you need to destroy obstacles. Every time you explain your dream to a small mind, you make the dream smaller. You dilute it with their doubt. You muddy the water with their fear. Stop casting your pearls before swine. They will not only trample the pearls, they will tear you to pieces for daring to show them something beautiful. Protect your energy. If you want to argue, argue with the marketplace. Argue with the numbers. Argue with your own limitations. But never, ever argue with a spectator about how you play the game. The spectator pays to watch. The player gets paid to play. Know which one you are. Silence is not just a shield. It is a sword. Up until now, we have talked about using silence to protect yourself, to hide your plans, to conserve your energy, to avoid envy. That is the defensive game. Now, we switch to the offensive. This is rule number 3, weaponized ambiguity. Human beings are terrified of the unknown. We are hardwired by evolution to fear the dark cave, the rustle in the bushes, the silence of the tribe. When we don't have information, our brains panic. We scramble to fill the void. We project our worst fears or our highest respect into the empty space. You are going to use this terror to make yourself rich. Imagine you are in a negotiation. It could be for a salary, a contract, or the price of a house. The other person slides a number across the table. "We can offer you $85,000. Your instinct, your trained, polite employee instinct, is to respond immediately. "Oh, that's a bit lower than I thought." Or, "Can we do $90,000? Stop. In that moment, you must do the unnatural thing. You must do the thing that feels like your skin is crawling. You look at the number. You look at them. And you say absolutely nothing. You don't frown. You don't smile. You just look. You hold the eye contact for 3, 4, 5 seconds. The silence stretches out. It becomes heavy. It becomes physical. The air in the room leaves. Watch what happens to the other person. They start to squirm. Their brain goes into overdrive. Did I offend him? Is the offer too low? Does he have a better offer? Is he going to walk away? They cannot handle the tension. The vacuum is too painful. So they fill it. I mean, we might have some wiggle room on the signing bonus. They stutter. Actually, let me check with finance. Maybe we can get that to $95,000. You didn't say a word. You didn't argue. You didn't use a clever tactic. You just used the weight of silence to crush their resolve. They bid against themselves because they were terrified of your ambiguity. This is the power of the blank canvas. When you are loud, you are a known quantity. People know exactly where you stand. They can calculate your value. They can box you in. Oh, he talks a lot about how much he needs this job. We can lowball him. But when you are silent, you are a Rorschach test. You are an ink blot. Because you aren't giving them data, they have to invent it. And if you carry yourself with the quiet confidence we talked about, they will invent a version of you that is far more powerful than the reality. They will assume you have options. They will assume you don't need them. In the laws of power, the one who needs the deal the least holds the most cards. Silence is the universal signal for, I don't need this. Even if you are desperate, even if your bank account is empty, your silence signals abundance. It signals that you are willing to walk away. Consider the legends of the business world. The most intimidating figures are never the screamers. They are the ones who listen. They sit at the head of the table, stillness surrounding them like a force field. When they finally speak, the room stops breathing. Why? Because the scarcity of their words has created value. If you speak 10,000 words a day, each word is worth nothing. It is inflation. If you speak 100 words a day, each word is a diamond. You need to become the Sphinx. Stop answering questions immediately. When someone asks you something, pause. Take a breath. Look at them. Make them wait for the answer. That 2-second delay establishes dominance. It says, I am on my own time. I am not dancing to your rhythm. In your next business interaction, play the game. See how long you can go without speaking. Let the other person talk. Let them ramble. Let them reveal their hand. The more they talk, the more information they give you, and the more power you accumulate. Be the void. Let them scream into it. Let them throw their money into it just to hear an echo. Silence is the only thing they can't argue with. It is the only thing they can't manipulate. It is the ultimate offensive weapon. Use it. The call is coming from inside the house. We have talked about the envious friends. We have talked about the sabotage of the workplace. We have talked about the biology of dopamine. But now, we have to look at the ugly thing sitting right in the center of your chest. You. You are the reason you are not rich. Not the economy. Not the government. Not your haters. You. Why? Because you are addicted to the performance of success more than the reality of it. You are terrified of the dark. You are terrified of being alone with your own inadequacy. Let's strip away the excuses. Why do you really post that story? Why do you really tell your friends about the deal? Because deep down, you don't believe you can pull it off. You are looking for them to convince you. You are outsourcing your belief system. You think if you can get enough people to like the idea, it becomes true. You think if you get enough people to say you can do it, the fear will go away. It is a weakness. It is a fundamental lack of self-respect. A king does not ask the peasants if he is allowed to rule. He just rules. A lion does not ask the sheep if his hunting strategy is valid. He just eats. But you? You are begging for permission. Every time you open your mouth to brag, or to explain, or to signal, you are really saying, "Please tell me I'm good enough. Please tell me I'm not crazy. Please witness me." It is pathetic, and the marketplace smells it. The marketplace smells your insecurity. It knows that a man who talks this much is a man who doubts himself, and the marketplace punishes doubt. You have to confront the fact that your need to be seen is costing you your freedom. Imagine your future, 10 years from now. Option A. You kept doing what you're doing. You kept barking. You kept seeking validation. You were the guy at the bar who was a little too loud. You were the guy with the stories about almost making it. "I had this idea back in 24. I should have pulled the trigger." You are the tragedy of potential wasted on an audience that didn't care. Option B. You disappear. You accept the loneliness. You accept that for the next 3 years, nobody will clap for you. Nobody will understand you. You will look average. You will feel boring. But you will wake up one day in a house you own, with a bank account that looks like a phone number, and you will realize that the silence wasn't a punishment. It was a cocoon. But to get to option B, you have to kill the part of you that needs to be the main character today. You have to be willing to be the extra. You have to be willing to be the NPC, non-player character, in everyone else's movie, so you can be the director of your own. This is the price. Everyone wants the money. Everyone wants the freedom. Everyone wants the jet. But almost nobody is willing to pay the price of the ego. Almost nobody is willing to look like a nobody long enough to become a somebody. You have to look in the mirror and ask, am I building an empire or am I building a fan club? Because you cannot have both. The fan club requires noise. The empire requires silence. The fan club pays you in likes. The empire pays you in generational wealth. The choice seems obvious, doesn't it? But watch yourself tomorrow. Watch yourself when the urge to speak rises up in your throat like vomit. Watch how hard it is to swallow it back down. Watch how much it hurts to let a moment pass without inserting yourself into it. That pain, that is your ego dying. Let it die. Kill the clown. Kill the performer. Kill the beggar who needs a pat on the head. Resurrect the ghost. The ghost doesn't care if you believe in him. The ghost just haunts. The ghost is inevitable. This is your pivot point. You can keep playing to the gallery, or you can start playing for the bank. But you need to understand that once you choose the silence, there is no going back. You lose the comfort of the crowd. You lose the warmth of the group think. It is cold at the top. It is quiet at the top. Start getting used to the temperature. The screen is about to go dark. The voice in your ear is about to stop. And when it does, you will be left with the deafening sound of your own reality. This is the moment of the binary choice. You have spent the last 30 minutes nodding your head. You have felt the sting of recognition. You have realized that your mouth has been the primary saboteur of your wealth. But realizing it means nothing. Realization is just another form of mental masturbation if you don't act. You are standing at a fork in the road. Path A is the path you are already on. It is the path of the clown. You close this video. You feel a surge of motivation. You rush out to find your friend or your partner. You say, I just learned this amazing concept. I'm going to start working in silence. I'm going to become a ghost. Do you see the irony? You are announcing your plan to stop announcing your plans. You are using noise to proclaim your silence. If you choose this path, nothing changes. You will get the dopamine hit today. You will feel changed for 24 hours. But by Wednesday, you will be back to barking. You will be back to explaining. You will be back to leaking your power. And 5 years from now, you will be in the exact same chair with the exact same bank balance, telling the exact same stories about what you are going to do. Path B is the path of the ghost. This path is terrifying. It is cold. It requires a level of discipline you have never exercised in your life. If you choose this path, you don't say a word. You don't leave a comment saying, "I'm going silent." You don't share this video with the caption "mood." You just shut up. Here is your operating manual. This is the ghost protocol. Step 1. The information quarantine. Identify the 3 people you tell everything to. The support system that is actually an envy system. Cut the feed. Today, you don't have to break up with them. You don't have to be rude. You just stop broadcasting. When they ask what's new, you say same old, same old. You starve them of data. You become a black hole. Step 2. The mediocrity mask. For the next 6 months, you are going to play the role of the average human. You are going to practice strategic incompetence. When someone tries to debate you on business, you lose. You let them win. You say, "Wow, I never thought of it that way." You're smart. You feed their ego while you protect your own. You hide your intelligence like a concealed weapon. You only draw it when it is time to kill the deal. Step 3. The pressure cooker. Pick one major financial objective. A new business. A specific investment. A debt you need to clear. Take a vow of total silence regarding this object. It does not exist for the world. It only exists for you. Every time you want to talk about it, you take that energy and you put it into the work. You let the pressure build. You let it hurt. You let the unexpressed pride burn a hole in your chest. That burn is the fuel. That burn is the only thing that will carry you through the valley of death, where most entrepreneurs die. This is not a game. This is not a lifestyle hack. This is survival. The world is getting louder. Everyone is screaming for attention. Everyone is desperate to be an influencer, a thought leader, a celebrity. They are fighting for scraps of attention. Let them fight. While they are fighting for attention, you are fighting for assets. While they are building an audience, you are building a vault. While they are getting likes, you are getting deeds. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." Let them see the mask. Let them see the boring, quiet, average version of you. Let them sleep on you. Because the day is coming when the silence breaks. But it won't be broken by your voice. It won't be broken by a status update. It will be broken by the undeniable, earth-shattering weight of your results. The check that clears. The keys in your hand. The freedom that doesn't need to be explained because it simply is. Wealth screams, but it screams in a frequency that only other rich people can hear. Poverty barks. Stop barking. The next time you open your mouth, make sure it is to cash a check. Until then, silence. Disappear.